Sequencing is another text structure or another way that an author can organize their writing. So when you sequence, you put things in order, and they are in order of events in a story or in the text. Since we're focusing on informational text, those are the type of sequences that we'll be looking at. I know that you guys have learned to put things in order or in sequence by using transition words such as first, next, then, and finally, or last. Some of the other clue words that we could use when sequencing, or that we would read whenever to identify that an author is sequencing, are before, after, later, at last, afterward, eventually, meanwhile, or the next day. And there are also other clue words, but these are just some that'll help us identify that we're looking at a sequence. I also really like this anchor chart. I just thought it was kind of cute with the minions. So again, sequencing is putting things in order in which they happen. First, the minions built a ray gun. Then, they tried to shoot it, but it only made bubbles. In the end, they gave up on taking over the world. So when we're sequencing, we want to make sure that we're not putting the event that happened in the middle of the story at the beginning, or the event that happened at the beginning of the story at the end. We want to make it flow and make sure it makes sense. For example, it wouldn't make sense for us to say, in the end, they gave up on taking over the world. Then they tried to shoot it, but it only made bubbles. First, the minions built a ray gun. We want to make sure that our sequence is telling the order in which these things happened. When talking about sequencing with informational text, looking at a recipe is a great example. We are given our ingredients, of course, so you know what you need in order to create the end product. But the sequencing part of it is going to be the directions. And as you can see here, we have our transition words that helps us know what the sequence is. So first, mix the flour and salt into a bowl. Next, slowly add the water and canola oil into the same bowl. Then, add drops of food coloring. Lastly, with your hands, mix all the ingredients until smooth. So this is a recipe that you can actually use in order to make your own Play-Doh. And again, we have those transition words first, next, then, and lastly, to let us know that we are following a specific order. Let's look at another recipe to try and identify sequence. Although this is not written as a paragraph like the last one was, it's still in a specific order, and we wouldn't want to go out of this order. We wouldn't say after the cookies have cooled, melt the chocolate to make your drizzle, and then mix cake mix, eggs, and vegetable oil, and then say let the cookies cool completely. That doesn't make any sense. We want to make sure it goes in this order from top to bottom, beginning to end. So we would start by preheating the oven 350 degrees. Notice that they didn't say first. There are other words, other synonyms that you can use in order to let your readers know if you're writing, or that the author will let you know that that is the beginning of the sequence. So start by preheating the oven to 350 degrees. Mix cake mix, eggs, and vegetable oil together. Place balls of dough on cookie sheets. Cook for 8 to 10 minutes or until the cookies start to get golden brown. As soon as the cookies come out of the oven, make a little indent in the middle by gently pressing with a teaspoon measure. Let cookies cool completely. After, another transition word there, after the cookies have cooled, melt the chocolate to make your drizzle. Take a Reese's and use the melted chocolates as glue to place the Reese's in the indent you made in the middle of the cookie. Take the candy's eyes and place a dab of melted chocolate on the back and place on the side of the Reese's. Use the chocolate to drizzle to make spider legs and enjoy. So this is A pretty cool recipe for Grandma's famous Halloween cookies. Let's look at another one. Here we have a recipe for stuffed pasta shells. The directions are going to give us the sequence in order to successfully create these stuffed pasta shells. So we are going to add our own transitional phrases to these steps in order to create our sequence. So first, cook shells according to package directions. Place in cold water to stop cooking. Drain the noodles. Next, mix together cottage cheese, mozzarella cheese, and half a cup of Parmesan cheese, eggs, and garlic powder. Rub the dry herbs in the palm of your hands to pulverize them and stir into the cheese mixture. Stuff mixture into the shells. Then spread 1/3 of spaghetti sauce in the bottom of a 15 by 10 inch pan. Place shells open side up and close together in pan. Spread remaining sauce over top and sprinkle with remaining 1/4 cup Parmesan cheese. Last, or finally, bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 35 minutes or until bubbly. Let stand 10 minutes before serving. Now we could have added other transitional phrases in between each paragraph, really, that they have here. But we just kept it at just adding it to the beginning of each. So what you're going to do on the next slide, I am giving you different steps in order to create slime. You are going to move those steps around to put it in its correct sequence. If you're not quite sure how to create slime, it's okay. Just try your best to see if you can figure out the correct sequence.